Um, Yesterday I I opened some boxes with books that I bought from my bookstore. I got a small bookstore now. It's just used books. But anyway, one of those boxes was full of beautiful old Christian books and old Bibles. Oh, there's one. I like it very much. This one is very old. I don't know how you say this in English. It's got a lot of beautiful prayers in it, and very old prayers, and a lot of beautiful old Christian songs, and of course it has that gold thingy, whatever you call it in English. And among all those, that wasn't the only one. They were all like this. Among all those Bibles and stuff, there was another religious text, which is this one. In Germany, we call it the Mao Bible. The actual name is Words of the German Mao. It says the German Mao. Words of the German Mao. And I flipped through it, and its appearance and content is really like a religious text. I was amazed. Not only the appearance, really not, but also what it says and stuff. It all appears very religious. It's so religious that I was really surprised, because the other religious books in that box didn't appear that religious. And it's also one of the shortest books I ever saw. Since it only consists of various really short Mao quotes, and it's clear it was made to be memorized. And of course, in a cultural revolution, people were forced to memorize it. Well, maybe not forced, just persecuted and killed by the Red Guards if they couldn't say a quote from it. When people made a phone call, it was customary to first greet Mao or say a quote from him. When people woke up in the morning, and they would first go to their Mao picture, which they were basically also required to have, and greet Mao. Before meals, they would first say a kind of prayer and thank Mao for their food. And they repeat sayings like, Mao is like the sun. He brightens everything he shines on. Or, one word in Mao's Bible is like 10,000 ordinary words. And in kindergarten, children were taught the following song. Mommy is dear to us, Daddy is dear to us, but no one is so close to us as Chairman Mao. There is also a really good documentary from the BBC about how the Communist Party persecutes its own people, and how the poor have no means of survival in China besides the Communist Party's original promises. And I watched that. And what struck me is that even one of the demolition victims that was interviewed in that documentary had only one object in his makeshift tent: a Mao statue. I mean, he killed most of his family and tore his freaking house down, and the only object he rescued from his house was his Mao statue. I mean, I gotta say, that guy really has some strong faith, right? I guess in the end they probably gonna, maybe they're gonna imprison him in some labor camp or whatever, and he'd still be like, oh, please, Chairman Mao, please come up from hell and make your party stop persecuting me. I always believed in you. Why do you still let your party persecute me? Even. Of course, some people say, how could communism be a cult or something? They never come up with the idea that communism could be a cult, because it's obvious that communism slanders and attacks gods and Buddhists and religions. So how could it be a cult, right? Well, simple. After religions were abolished in the Cultural Revolution and people were not allowed to believe in gods and Buddhists, people naturally started to have religious faith in the communist leaders instead, and that was what was intended. All temples and churches were either destroyed, or the images of Jesus, Saint Mary, and Moses were replaced with images of Karl Marx, Lenin, and Mao. So, doesn't an evil cult exploit its members, glorify its leaders, make false promises to gain members and deceive the public, brainwash its members, kill those who want to quit or think differently, practice forced labor, intimidate members with violence, etc.? The Communist Party employs all of these methods and more. Of course, after the Cultural Revolution, some temples were rebuilt and some religions were allowed again. However, those religions that were allowed again were not the original religions. They were all the communist religions. They were all altered. For example, Catholics in China are not allowed to recognize the Pope or the Vatican. They actually even have to slander the Pope and the Vatican. They instead get a Chinese Communist Party member whom they have to follow and recognize as their Pope. Bishops and priests likewise are appointed only by the Communist Party and are all required to be Communist Party officials. In all communist countries, religions get either destroyed or severely altered. For example, the Socialist Party in Eastern Germany did not persecute Christians. They merely went and changed the Bible to their liking. My favorite example is in Revelations, where there is a sentence that in the old German Bible basically was like this. The one who imprisons others shall himself end up in prison, and the one who kills with the sword shall die by the sword. But now the sentence reads, the one who ends up in prison was supposed to end up in prison, and the one who is killed by the sword was supposed to be killed by the sword. In China, those Christians who rather believe in God than in communism live in hiding underground and are being severely persecuted. The Communist Party tries hard to maintain the appearance of religious freedom. Whereas the religious freedom in China stops the moment you go from merely performing religious ceremonies and abusing religions to make money to truly believing in God. Whereas the Communist Party cannot allow God to have control over the people that they want to control. If you believe in God in China, they will label you a cult and persecute you. So they effectively disguise the fact that the real cult is...
Praise to him, the font of all our wisdom, long to live, the ruler of our land, Napoleon, mighty leader, watching over us. Napoleon, mighty leader, watching over us. When on high, you guide us with your smile, teach us how to be as kind as you.